So hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's orchestrating, delegating, broadcasting, transcoding, or anything to do with the Livepeer ecosystem. We're here to ask questions and get answers. We do have a guest Q&A session planned for the first half of this Water Cooler Chat, and this is going to be with Nico from Streamr. Nico is a part of business development with the Streamr protocol, and here to bring us some insight into possible integrations we could have with Livepeer. This has been a topic we've had in multiple water coolers in the past around how we could utilize Streamr, and so hopefully Nico can kind of help us through the process and explain what Streamr is and how it could benefit us. So Nico, do you want to give us an introduction of who you are and what your role is with Streamr?
Hey, yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. And nice to meet you, everybody. I'm Nico. I do developer relations. I do many things at Streamr, to be honest. I do developer relations, I do business development, and I do the partnerships. And yeah, what is Streamr is probably the best question to start with, because I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the protocol. So basically, in a nutshell, Streamr is a publish subscribe messaging network for real-time data. So if you've heard of PubSub before, of this kind of pattern, this might be familiar to you. So instead of topics, we call it streams. And what it is really like getting your data from your real-time data from A to B in a decentralized manner, right? So if I want to send, I don't know, for example, chat messages, right? They need to be sent in real time, and you kind of need to be subscribed to them. So you kind of send a message, you get them on your phone like directly, right? There's no database call or something like that. Or another example would be IoT data, right? For example, let's say we have a network of cars that all share their data. So all these cars kind of join the Streamr network and they send their data through the network. And then you can subscribe to that data, use it, do stuff with it, and maybe monetize it even, create a data union. There are many possibilities we can do. And yeah, I think there are many opportunities for especially node runners of different networks. So kind of sharing metrics data, for example, is a great one. Kind of how much data is going through your node, for example. That could be something of interest to other community members, or you can. So one example for those kind of metrics data use cases are dashboards. So you can kind of create real-time data dashboards to visualize the data and to kind of see, hey, what's happening in the network at the moment? How healthy is it? Are there any problems? Kind of those kind of things. And yeah, I'm here to kind of explore and see how we can work together. If we can work together, if that's of any interest to you guys, to answer any questions. This is really like kind of explorative. So it's really kind of me getting to know the orchestrator community and you guys getting to know Streamr.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a great introduction into what Streamr is. I believe we as a community we're looking at this. I know Mike initially brought it up. So I've got lots of questions like, can it be monetized? Who's it beneficial for? All these integrations. But I might just hand it off to the floor right away to like someone like Mike or anyone that else has any questions. You want to jump in or start us off on maybe a direction where we want to go for questions.
Well, again, I think for me, as I mentioned in the chat, a bunch of us run Streamr nodes today. I don't think, the community at large is well versed in Streamr. But I think there's been a lot of topics over the last few months in our water cooler about, as orchestrators and as the way this network is set up, somebody wants to send a stream into Livepeer, and then it goes into a piece of software that in Livepeer is called a broadcaster. The broadcaster then says, hey, orchestrators, are you out there? I want to send you some streams. What's your performance scores? What kinds of things can we get off of this orchestrator to make finding the right orchestrator easiest for the broadcaster. So like, again, if it's GPU capabilities, if it's network performance, if it's, encodings, AV1, whatever the different codecs are, like we were looking and talking about it in many use cases of, how do we measure performance? How do we measure, latency? How do we measure all these different things? And, as I learned about Streamr, I thought that this was a use case that would be very good. I think one of the first questions that I had when talking about it was, a lot of this data is proprietary to these orchestrators. So like, it's personal to their operation. And then like, how could we allow like an opt-in scenario that would allow, these orchestrators to opt in and then be incentivized, to share that data. And again, we started talking about data unions. I mean, I don't want to get into the weeds. I just wanted to at least give you a little bit of context and then talk about some of those concerns, like how do we get people to opt in? How do we incentivize folks to do it? So I'll stop the rambling there. Maybe you can come back and ask some more questions.
Yeah, this is awesome. I kind of want to maybe give like an introduction to how this, because I'm hearing like you need kind of permissions, right? You need encryption. You don't want this data to be able to be read by anyone, right? This is kind of what I'm getting. So what Streamr is actually we're not a blockchain or anything like that. We're a peer-to-peer network, right? You said you kind of know the Streamr network already, so I don't want to go too deep into that, but just to kind of point that out, we're not a blockchain by itself, but we do use Polygon for our permissions. So Streamr itself, as I said, is like a peer-to-peer network. So basically, let's say we have a group chat, right? And all those group chat participants, like your phones, become a node in the network automatically. Like just in the background, you send a message, you become a node, right? This is how the Streamr network is set up. That's how the protocol works. And what we then use is permissions on Polygon, which is like a stream registry, we call that. It's basically a smart contract that keeps track of all the Ethereum addresses that are allowed to or have permission to publish or subscribe to messages. So publish means basically write messages, and subscribe means read, right? Read and write access, essentially, right? So if we have a group chat, obviously we don't want everyone to be able to read those messages, right? It's private. So what you can do then is say, well, only the people in this group chat, like you have an admin in a Telegram group, right? In this case, you have a stream owner, and that stream owner is like the admin. He has the permission to say, well, you have read access, you have write access, and then you can kind of say, okay, well, if I add you to this group, if I add this Ethereum address to the group, they're allowed to read and write. And the same you can do for the orchestrator nodes, or like the data you have, is essentially say, well, I have this guy that is interested in my data, so I want to give him access, and then you can monetize that stream. So that's the incentive that you were talking about, where you can say, okay, well, you pay me this amount of data, for example, sorry, this amount of token, and then in exchange you have read access and are able to kind of read the stream. So this is kind of how that dynamic works. So you can monetize streams. That's like kind of the bottom line, and you can handle the permissions as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Titan.
I was just gonna say, so I'm just looking at like a use case for Livepeer in specific. I want to bring up something that we have a pain point with that maybe Streamr could help with. So the pain point is one of the things that we have a hard time reading in the network is how many minutes or how many hours of video actually get transcoded. One of the reasons is because we don't actually have insight into each orchestrator and their operations, right? The only thing we have access to is the payment side. So you could say, well, they received X amount in payments, but that doesn't really relate. That doesn't correspond to the actual amount of work they've done. That's just the amount of work that they've been paid, and they could charge a different amount and all these kind of things. So one of the things on the network was trying to figure out a way that we could accurately predict or accurately track the amount of usage on the network. And in order to do that, you would have to get all 100 orchestrators to kind of opt in to share how much of this video or how much video they're currently processing, right? But there's really no incentive to do that. And so with Streamr, there's this possibility, right, of monetizing that data where you could say, hey, here's, collectively all the orchestrators are putting forward how much work they're actually doing, how much video they're transcoding, and someone could subscribe to that and say, hey, I this is valuable information to me, I'm going to pay for this. Is that kind of how Streamr could work or benefit us?
Absolutely, yes. It's essentially the data union use case, right? You incentivize your orchestrators to share this data. Obviously, you would have to maybe download a plugin or something like that, or add a plugin to your code. I don't know how the orchestrator notes are or what they're written in and all of that. That we need to talk about maybe in a minute. In Go, right? Okay. So as you already pointed out, I think in the last session or the session before was that it is our framework is written in, or our SDK is written in JavaScript or TypeScript. So it's a Node.js application. However, you can set up a Node.js server and then use MQTT. So I'm assuming Go is able to kind of just send MQTT messages to a server. And then that server can then kind of relay that into the Streamr network, and then you've got your stream up and running as well. So that would work. And then again, you kind of have this data union use case. I want to show you guys this, but I'm just gonna share this link here in the chat. So what you can see there is the hub. We call the hub, and there you have like all of the different projects that publish data on the Streamr network, essentially, or at least a few of them. And what they offer is open data streams at the moment. So most of them are just free data streams. So there's, for example, the Binance stream, and there's just kind of real-time data getting shared. So what you could do is set up a project here with those streams that you were talking about earlier, and then you can monetize them on this hub on the marketplace, and then data buyers or people that are interested in that can then kind of use this as a tool to pay the streams or pay the orchestrators and get the money back. There needs to be like a little bit more, but we can talk about the details maybe in a different session. But essentially, it's possible. Like you can just kind of aggregate the data and then put it on the Streamr network, and everything can be in real time if you set it up correctly. So like whoever wants to kind of know if you want to, I don't know, what's the main thing that you said you need in real time? Like who's the best orchestrator to choose from, or what was like the main thing you said?
I'm not sure we would use it for a selection process. Maybe we could. I haven't really thought about that. But one of the things is just the load on the network, because it's really opaque as to whether like how much actual demand is happening on the network at any given time. Because I'll give you an example. An orchestrator can charge any amount they want. So we charge per pixel, right? So when a video comes in, we charge per pixel of output of video. But we can advertise a high price per pixel or a low price per pixel, and that all gets calculated in the selection algorithm, who gets the work, and it's all fancy and all this kind of stuff. But one of the things is you could charge $0 per pixel if you want, based on the customer you're dealing with, right? So you could say, well, this broadcaster, this customer, I'm going to charge very little, or if not just free, maybe to give them some sort of incentive to come onto the network, which would mean that the 0 payments are showing up on the network. So does that mean there's 0 activity on the network? It's like, well, no, there's actually like a lot of activity on the network. It's just, what's the pricing model, right? And so what we've done historically is we've used on-chain payments as an indication of how much traffic the network's getting. But as you can see, this is just flawed because, you know, Papa Bear might charge less and I might charge more, and so, you know, it's not accurate at all, right? And so what we want, and so when a company like was it, how do you say it, Missouri, they do quarterly reports on our protocol. They report back, you know, how much demand, how much growth, how many people are actually using the network for transcoding needs. And it's like, there's no way to actually tell. Like, payments might have gone up or down, but I could feed myself payments on chain and it makes the network look really robust. But that's not actually real world work that's happening. So you can see there's this kind of dilemma of, you know, this is just one of the problems. Of course, I'm sure there's some other ones, but this is just a good use case for maybe Streamr, like detecting, you know, we could all collectively, all the orchestrators, report somewhere that says, hey, this is the amount of work I'm currently doing, either in the past or actively. And you could say, you know, and if we can if we can be incentivized to do that, even if it was just dollars, like just a few dollars a month, like it wouldn't have to be a lot, but at least you could sell that data to someone who might be interested to know whether this network is growing or not, right? So
yeah, that's a great use case.
yeah, so you could see how, you know, like imagine this competition in the network, so the prices fall because there's more supply. You know, we use GPUs, which are quite abundant, right? So you can imagine, you know, 70,000 GPUs enter the market, and we lower our price by, say, 50% because we have so much supply. But then, you know, does that mean we've done 50% less work? It's like, no. So anyway, this is one of the use cases that I think Streamr would work really well in. So this is kind of the first kind of thing I think it's a pain point that the network has in general.
Absolutely. I think this is a really good use case. Again, I think what you need is probably the few lines of code where you have this MQTT plugin that kind of publishes the data then to a server that then relays it to the Streamr network, and then you can subscribe to that in real time, you know. So this is, I think, how it could be set up. And I do think that's a great use case. Do you think the orchestrators need to be rewarded for that, or do you think this would be something everyone is kind of interested in anyways, and that is kind of the incentive that everyone has like the extra data, or what do you think?
I'll let someone else answer that. What's of the orchestrators in here? Do you think you would need to be incentivized to do it? Would you set up another server just to send it for free?
I don't know if I'd set up another server, but I'd be happy to send the data.
Yeah, so I think the way it would work is more of like you wouldn't even set up the server yourself. The server would be built one time, just like as a relay. And then all the orchestrators would maybe have to download some sort of an update or something like that, or plugin. So kind of, I don't know how it works in Go, but you kind of add a plugin to your already existing running node that then just kind of takes that data and does all of that automatically, right? You don't really have to do anything. You just install the plugin and it does everything in the background for you. Like it just kind of shares your metrics data, assuming that all of the metrics data is kind of the same structure on every server setup. That I don't know how it works with you guys, but that's just what I'm assuming.
It would be.
Yeah, you could just set up a flag.
There's two parts to it, though, right? There's two parts from an org's perspective, and I can't speak for all orchestrators, but what I can say is, you know, there's a part of it. It's like you have to run infrastructure on top of your current stuff. So like you can probably just run it on the same hardware you have with your current orchestrator in addition to that right now. So like I think if they have problems, it might be okay, I got to run more resources on this server I have to set up, the Streamr accounts and all that stuff. And I don't think that's a big deal. But then the second part that might, come into question whether they would want to do it or not is, the data inside their orchestrator is really private to their operation. So I guess, there may be some needs to say very specifically what pieces of data you're collecting so that, whether or not maybe there be selective choices that you can say, I want these pieces, I don't want to share these pieces. Like there might be something around what you're sending over versus, and again, that's why I said it was an opt-in process for orchestrators, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would say we would, because we have the ability to monetize it, I think we should. Like, I feel like it's the same thing with like the Promethea, like the Grafana dashboards. Like, there's a handful of us orchestrators that publicly publish our Grafana dashboard, but like a lot don't. And it's kind of like for the same reason of like why, like there's no incentive to do it. People might just, if I got paid at least just a little bit, or there was some sort of incentive, I would just say absolutely yes, and I think you would get a large of amount of adoption, even for this small amount of income you could earn. But like you could just set up as a flag, and just we could set up one node instance to accept all data, and then when we launch our orcs, we just add a flag that says Streamr endpoint and throw that endpoint in there, and you're done. And I think you would get a large amount of adoption if we did it that way. And I know that then we can send them not only data just on minutes transcoded, but like all the other data, like profiles, different types of profiles, different types of codec, all the other interesting things that I think a lot of video nerds would really like.
Yeah, that sounds great. Exactly. Like I think you can set it up very easily, so it's like very low effort for node runners. And then I think why not monetize it? I mean, we definitely have the tools and the ability to do it. So yeah, you're right. Why not?
If there was an eager beaver in the crowd out here willing to work on this project and start building it out, are there folks like yourself at Streamr willing to help answer questions, get if there's any hurdles, help getting unstuck, and also maybe is there a grants program at Streamr that might also help aid in building? I know there is one for Livepeer. I just don't know. Maybe it might be a two-part, a Streamr part and a Livepeer part collectively to make this project work. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so yeah, we do have the data fund. So we do give out grants, especially for a project like this. We would definitely give out one. Maybe we can do like a collaborative one where Livepeer kind of pays maybe a half of it, and we pay the other half, for example. That could be a possibility. And obviously, we would we're more than happy to help. I think, well, I'm speaking for myself because I'm gonna be the one who will be helping to build this and to answer any questions, to kind of advise and how this is best built, just from previous experience and from other projects we've done this together with. And yeah, definitely, like we would give all of the support because this sounds really cool. This sounds like a really cool use case for Streamr. It does really sound like a really cool use case for Livepeer as well. And I'm actually building a dashboard at the moment as well. It's like a real-time dashboard where you can integrate or subscribe to a stream and then visualize that data. So that could also be, I think, an interesting one for you guys. I mean, for those kind of metrics data, it's always nice to see this.
Have you looked at Livepeer? There's a explorer.livepeer.org is where the current dashboard exists that Titan was referring to, where the minutes are displayed there. So that dashboard is getting data that's, as he pointed out, is derived from payments, which is totally wrong. I mean, it's not a good reflection. So that's the main use case that he was describing. You'd be replacing that dashboard.
Yeah, that looks really cool. I'm just looking at it right now. It looks way cooler than my dashboard. So Mine is very
Yeah,
much
it
in
looked
cool
cooler,
mode.
but it don't have the right data. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have the right data.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what you can then just do is kind of replace wherever you get the data from right now, you just replace that with the stream, and then you get the same result essentially. So yeah, it would totally work. And yeah, if you guys like, is there anyone in the community who would like to build this sort of thing, or maybe we set up a grant or like a bounty or something in that direction, and then we can kind of make that happen. I mean, you guys probably know best with your community, who would
I'm
be.
all in. I definitely want to jump in. I asked a question because I was joking. I'm the eager beaver that I was referring to, but I like to join up with folks, right? It's good for me to do stuff, but I like to get a coalition of people together, and that I think you get a lot better perspective and the quality comes out a lot better than just a single person. So I think putting something up, requesting it, like an RFP type setup, like I think some of the Livepeer founders were putting out requests for people to build certain things. I think if this was formulated in a way that we can start to organize a group of people to work on it, it would be really good. I'm sure, I know there's a handful of people that already want to jump in, but I won't speak for them.
Yeah, I've voluntold Brad to do this. So, Brad, if you could just write that down on your list. No, just kidding. No, he's working on other things. So yeah, this is I already know that projects or like media like outlets that want this data, they'd be more than happy to pay a little bit for accurate data, right? So that they could report accurate data to their viewers and readers. And so we have, a potential buyer of this data. It's really only valuable to them and maybe to us. Our dashboard could be very useful, but I want to talk a little bit about two things. One is historical data, and also how payments work. So could you just run us through, I think there's an area where you could select to store data. Is this a part of the Streamr network? Are people doing this for a fee? Is this a centralized thing? How does storing this data work if we want it in the past?
Yep, nice question. Yeah, we do offer historical messages, so we have that option because, as you pointed out, I mean, it's a real-time data network, so it's like all real-time. There's no storage by default, right? But if you create the stream, when you create the stream on the hub, you can select that you want the historical messages enabled, and then what happens basically is that there is a centralized instance subscribing to that stream in real time, and then is kind of storing that in a database. And then you on the subscriber side, you can say, well, can I have all of the messages from timestamp, I don't know, timestamp X, right? And then you get like all of the database entries from that timestamp, or you want like the 10 last messages, for example. There are different options. That currently is centralized. We're working with another project at the moment that is trying to get this decentralized. So then it's called Logstore, and what they're trying to do is kind of decentralize that storage node that we have right now. So we're working on it to making it decentralized. And the second question was how the payments work. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So how do payments work? Do they go to one? Let's say we all 100 orchestrators for ease of sake. We went into our Go Livepeer program. We added this flag that says, hey, just add this endpoint and you can get paid. And wonderful. We can just literally on your startup command, you throw a flag, Streamr endpoint, boom, there it goes, heads over to this Node app, and away you go. How do payments come in from the buyer of the data to the seller? And if we had 100 people all pushing towards one ingest, how would we go about distributing that amongst amongst contributors?
Great question. So what we have is a product called the Data Union Framework. And what that does is essentially a smart contract that helps you save some transaction fees and to help you do this whole payment process. Because obviously, let's say we have 100 people, right, participating, sharing their data, and then there's 100 token every day coming in that is kind of paying to be able to subscribe to that data, right? So each orchestrator would get like one token, right? Just just an easy example. The problem here would be very high transaction costs, right? You would send one token every day to everybody, and depending on how much that token is worth, probably not much, if you divide it by 100 people, you pay a lot of transaction fees and you lose a lot of it. Even though it is on Polygon, you will still, it's because it's such a low amount, depending on how much you're getting. So what this smart contract does, the Data Union Framework, is it keeps track of all of the addresses participating in the data sharing. So like Titan Note, your address would kind of be in there, Papa Bear, all of those addresses would be in there. And then they would kind of keep track of who gets how many token. And then the smart contract kind of acts as a vault. So it kind of aggregates this, the 100 tokens, the daily 100 token. It aggregates it in the smart contract. So, one day 100 token come in. Second day, another 100 token. Third day, 100 token. Right now you have 300 token in the smart contract vault. And then you as the data union participants or the data sharers, you can kind of withdraw the token from the smart contract at any point of time. So the longer you wait, obviously, the longer it kind of accumulates and the less transaction fee you pay because, it accumulates. So you only have to pay the transaction fee once. So this is kind of how the payments work for this specific use case, for like a data union use case. And that would make probably the most sense for you guys. And this is all ERC20 compatible, so like any ERC20 token can work with this.
Okay, very cool. I like that. Just another question around that. This smart contract that has the 100 tokens or whatever. Let's say that only 90 orchestrators opt in. How do we determine that those 90 orchestrators are deserving of the stream data?
Right. So that you would need to do. So the smart contract offers a feature where you can activate and deactivate members. So you can kind of say, well, this member hasn't participated over like the last, let's say, 3 days. So let's just deactivate him so he doesn't get like more rewards. That you have to do this logic though, you have to do off chain. So like what's to determine of like, okay, who gets deactivated and activated? That's off chain. And on chain are they active or are they inactive? So there needs to be like a one address, one like admin address that kind of makes all of these decisions. Maybe like a server, for example, run by the community. Maybe like a multi-sig wallet, something in that direction. That kind of needs to implement that logic because obviously like every use case is different, so you can't like integrate that into a smart contract. That would be a bit much.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a little complicated, and like there's some trusted party that's got to run this server that kind of manages this, but for the amount we're dealing with, it's probably fine. But that works.
Yeah, and don't think necessarily like a server either. It's not necessarily a server.
It's just like someone running a program.
A script, yeah, exactly. I mean, I said server, so it's like an automated process that kind of runs maybe like every day and checks who's like active and who isn't. Maybe like some sort of a cron job. Like just kind of the logic you implement, because again, that's impossible to to do on a protocol level because every use case is going to be different.
Can you do
And
something?
you can be activated and deactivated, right?
What's that,
Like
Mike? Sorry.
if let's say we build it into the Go Livepeer app that says when it comes online, it's activated, and then when it goes offline, it's disconnected. It's no longer sending messages. It's not activated. Is that something that's possible?
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be a great idea to integrate.
Okay.
What if each orchestrator ran their own node script and is that still a data union if we ran our own and then it's all just collected into the same like we'd have like multiple streams, but they would be the same format, and so therefore you could take them all in and then each one would have their own independent wallet and all this kind of stuff? Or is that more difficult than just having one script that takes in everybody's and then we have this smart contract?
I mean, I think both would work. It does sound a bit more complicated. Maybe I'm just not getting the benefit of this right now.
We would have to talk about that. I have a picture that I drew up that I was working on over the summer. I have to dig it up, but it was a basic like data flow diagram that showed the different pieces of the protocol and how they would interact together. So I think you're right. Just talking about it at a high level, it sounds like this, both are possible, but I think, it might be better served to have the node running on the orchestrator itself so that each person has total control over their data and how it's getting published. And it might be more setup, but again, if it's easy to do and it's an automated way, it may not be problematic. It just becomes a problem if you add another 30 steps into the process of setting up an orchestrator. That could be problematic.
And that shouldn't happen actually. Because it's MQTT, you don't even need a wallet address. Literally all you do is just kind of send the MQTT messages to that centralized server or decentralized server, however you want to set it up. And then that's it. So it's very easy to kind of that plugin approach that I was talking about earlier, where you just kind of set a flag and say, well, I want to share my data, and by default it's just deactivated, So nothing really changes for the orchestrators. It's just like an optional extra, like if you want to,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Cool. I like it a lot. Let's open it up now. Does anyone else have any questions around Streamr or what we just talked about? I have a question for Nico. How big is Streamr? Like, how long have you guys been around? How much traction have you gotten? How big is it in general?
Yep, we've been around since 2017. We launched an ICO back then, raised around 30 million. And yeah, so we've been working on this very long. It's turns out it's very hard to build a decentralized network that is able to relay data. It's been very complicated and a hard challenge. So props to our developers. Very cool stuff. And we're actually about to launch 1.0. So like Streamr being then completely decentralized. We're launching, I think, in January, they said. It's all very, very fluent at the moment because it's in a testnet at the moment, and you know how testnets are, like problems come up and then they need to be fixed. But yeah, January at the moment is our goal. And we are around, I think we're around 25 people working at Streamr. And yeah, that's us at the moment.
Yeah, we feel your pain. We're in a similar situation with building decentralized infrastructure. It seems like a bigger task than what it looks like on paper, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You tell people, yeah, we're a decentralized network, and it takes so little to explain, and then but there's so much behind it.
Definitely. Okay. Does anyone else have any last questions for Nico? Nico, do you want to cover anything that we haven't covered? Are there frequently asked questions that you typically answer that you'd like to share with us now, or yeah, give us anything you'd like to cover that we haven't so far.
Sure. I think a really cool place, like if any of this interested you, I want to share this with you. There we go. Open chat. This link, it just points to the Streamr docs, but if anything of this interests you, I think this is like the best place to kind of start learn more about Streamr. Maybe you want to kind of build a little application with it or something like that. You're also welcome to, of course, join our community in our Discord, ask questions there. But I think like we covered some really cool use cases, and I think use cases are the best to kind of understand something anyway. So I don't know, I don't have anything to add at this point, but yeah, I'm happy to answer questions in our Discord, of course, and yeah, feel free to check out the
Do you have a
documentation.
link to your grants program there? Can you share that?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah, it's the last topic I wanted to cover was, yeah, just the action plan going forward. What's, like, so applying for your grant, we could do that, and maybe even going to our community. Mike, do you think this is a good spot for the community grants node? I think this is like an open source project that would be good for that.
Yeah, it would be. I think with the streamer part and then the Livepeer part, it should be small enough to fit there.
Definitely. Okay. Mike, do you want to kind of lead this charge? Do you want, like we've got, I think we have general interest. I think any way for orchestrators to monetize their nodes, especially just by adding a flag, they would do. I think that people that don't even share their Grafana dashboard would actually probably still do this, because they could squeeze out every little drop that comes their way, and it is benefiting the entire ecosystem.
I'll take a crack at something. I mean, I can start to drum up some support for it and maybe draw up some documentation to start with.
Great. And then as for the application process for the grants, of course, I can help out with that at all. We can apply for one on our side, and then maybe apply for one on the Streamr side, and either get both or get one, or maybe just look for ways to for us to utilize that, because yeah, that would be really helpful. And then we can get a proper dashboard. We get a proper, accurate dashboard.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Sounds
like
good.
a plan. Well, should we open like a channel or a Telegram group, or how would you guys like to continue the communication?
Maybe just a thread in the Livepeer Discord right now, right? Like off the grants, and maybe we could create a separate Streamer thread. Up to you, Titan.
Yeah, I mean that works for us. We could either I think hosting this in one of the Discords is better. Like, we don't need to go create something new. We should probably just either host this in the Livepeer Discord or the Streamer Discord. How, if Nico, if you're interested in hovering around our community, obviously you'll get more traction and more support if we host it here. And then
Absolutely, no problem. I think it's great to for us to kind of step into your community as well. So happy to
I'm
kind of
in
host
both.
it.
I'm in both Streamer and Livepeer, so maybe I'll cross-pollinate a little bit.
Here
Sure.
we go. At Nico, here I'm just creating it right now. At Nico, at Mike. Let's start process here. Okay, I'll just create a little. It's under the grants. Under the grants channel. Just called Streamer Integration, and
Perfect.
that'll be just a good place to start. If you guys want to hop in there, Mike, if you want to share your diagrams, and if Nico, you want to also share some diagrams on like how this could work, and how your union works. Maybe an idea of explaining to us how the union works and what we could expect. And then Mike, if you want to add a diagram on what we would need to do to the to the Go Livepeer and what would be a simple way to integrate it on our side, then we can kind of marry the two. And my last question or I shouldn't say last, but next question for Nico is around the Streamr union itself. Is there only one entity that has control of it on the dashboard there, or like how does that get managed?
Just so I understand the question right, like you mean at Streamr, who has the like, or are you talking about your potential stream?
Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Do you mean in the hub, the marketplace?
Yeah,
when you
like the
deploy
Streamr
your
marketplace.
data union?
Like, do we all? Yeah, I just don't know enough about Streamr, so maybe I'll just do some more research before I start asking.
I think it's who controls. He's asking who controls the data union. Is that a single,
right.
private key, or is that something that could be set up across multiple people?
Yep. You would control that yourself. So the Streamr has nothing to do with this. We have like a contract factory, factory contract, sorry, and that generates a specific template contract for you. So you kind of have your own smart contract then on Polygon, and that handles all of it. And your address, or the address that that deployed that contract with the factory, that address becomes the owner, and and then you are the admin. And then of course you can say, okay, well, this is going to be a multi-sig wallet, or like whatever you want to do with that address then.
Right. Okay, cool.
But yeah, I can share some documentation around this, because I know this this data union framework thing is also a little bit much to wrap your head around, especially without any visuals and just me talking. So I'm just gonna share some docs, and then I think that will help understanding the whole use case a little bit more. Maybe we have just a separate call as well, where I can go over it a bit slower and with more explanation. Yeah.
Great. Cool. All right. Any last comments before you'd like to sign off, Nico?
Just thank you for having me, guys. I'm really looking forward to this. This sounds really cool. I'm gonna tell my team about this tomorrow, and they're gonna be very excited. So, very cool stuff.
There'll be a recording.
And, yeah.
There'll be a record. This will be up for recording as well. So if they have like want to watch this recording, just point them to it. I upload it in a couple days or two. So if anyone wants to like listen in or reenact what we just talked about, you can send them there.
Perfect. Yep, I will. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. And yeah, looking forward to working together.
Right on. Nico, you're welcome to stick around.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. You're welcome to stick around. I know that you were just in Europe, so you're probably quite tired right now. But
it's late.
Are you still in Europe? Or are you back in, or whereabouts are you?
Yeah. I'm in Barcelona at the moment.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, no worries. Well, anyway, you're welcome to stick around. We're going to talk mostly about Livepeer stuff now, but either way, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to introduce us to this, and this might be a good opportunity to use the network.
All right, awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. All right, let's jump into some other topics. I see we have a couple more people in the audience. Let's invite you guys up if you guys want to come up and speak. Otherwise, no worries. Just hang out in the audience and listen in. Okay, let's jump into a couple topics. So we have, movement of stake, node security, Windows with CUDA, an app idea, Livepeer grants with, I believe there's a comment here. Hey, can we host this on Gitcoin for more visibility? Absolutely. Why don't you hang around in that channel and, let's get some more visibility on maybe raising or getting grant money for this. That'd be a good idea. Actually, yeah, so let's jump right into that grant item actually right now. How do you say it? Saurabh? I forgot how to say it already. You're with Live Gitcoin grants, I believe, right? Do you want to explain to us what you do and kind of what your ideas are? Saurabh, are you with us? Yeah, no worries. Well, we'll hit you up in the Discord, the Streamr integration channel there. So, yeah. Either way, you can. I'm not sure if your mic's not working. I don't know if we can hear you, but might have to leave Discord and come back. I'll invite you back if you do. Papa Bear, let's jump into your topic, node security. There's been a situation. Why don't you tell us about it and what your ideas are?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Saurabh, you're back.
Yes,
I
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I'll just quickly wrap this up. It's pretty late at my time. I'm from India, so uh, so a bit about Gitcoin. Gitcoin currently launched a direct grants tool where you can fund to builders based on these RFPs or like direct grants based on milestones. So you can do like everything that is possible on a Typeform on chain, and it's transparent to the community. And also you can leverage the builder community of Gitcoin. So that's like a small blurb about Gitcoin.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've tried to use it in the past. I think I've sponsored a project on Gitcoin. I wonder if it's worth like doing the actual application to the community grants node through Gitcoin just to get that exposure, and then the community grants coin or the community grants node can fund the Gitcoin project directly through Gitcoin. Would that be a better way of doing it rather than just some random GitHub issue that gets lost?
Uh, we can start off with something small, eventually like a small RFP, like what we're talking about right now. And then since GG19 is coming up, we can also post it like side by side of having a community for like community pool of 100,000 and then dispersing that funds to the whole community. We did something recently with Arbitrum. We had a community pool of 100,000 and we received like 20K from donations from the community. And it was a total fund of 120,000 dispersed across the whole community. So we could do something like this as well.
And so all we need to do is create the Gitcoin, like grant itself, like fill it all in, and then just launch it.
Yep.
And then from there,
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And so this would just be the integration between Livepeer and Streamr, and then milestones and project outline, and then publish it, right?
Yep, that's correct.
I don't know why the Livepeer community node doesn't use Gitcoin. Like, I don't know why. Right now, it's just a random arbitrary process where they just use GitHub issues to track people's applications, and it's a bit of a mess. So
are you the one who manages these grants program, or is it someone else?
no, someone else does. Shan, I think, who's on the committee now? I don't know. I don't remember. Keep switching around.
Is it Hans?
Hans? Yeah. I think he's on the he's a part of the committee.
Okay, can you help me connect with him? That'll be great. We can maybe demo him and just have a conversation.
Yeah. Anything to improve the community grants node would be a really good idea.
So I'll send you a request. I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
I've sent you a friend request, and then if you can accept it, that'll be great. And then we can take it like out from there.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. Accepted.
Yeah,
And I'll introduce you to Hans, and then maybe we can kind of set up a conversation between you two and how they can utilize Gitcoin to do their grant system.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's pretty late here, so it was worth it.
Yeah.
And the community is fantastic, and the community is amazing here. Thank you so much, guys.
I appreciate you sticking around, and I'll definitely introduce you with him, and I think that'll be a huge improvement. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I've used Gitcoin in the past, and it's a pretty cool process. It's better than just the GitHub issues that they have going on. So maybe we can convert them into that system. Okay, Papa Bear, secured node security. Tell us what happened, and tell us about things you've been seeing.
Well, this is, brought up because of, Killout's post about, losing, I don't know if he lost control of his wallet or it was just hacked, as he said. But it's happened to other people, in the time I've been here. And I mean, I'm just wondering, and it would probably take, some, fairly large protocol change to do at least what I'm thinking in my head. But I guess just it seems like it would be a great idea if we were able to have like a hardware wallet that we use for you know our nodes to at least to have like kind of keep control of the node itself, but we don't need to use that wallet like like what we used is the dummy accounts or throwaway accounts or whatever people are calling them these days. But if that could do more, if we could do more with that and not actually have to use our, like our main, ETH account to transact on, on the network for anything other than like, actually, I don't even know what would be the split, but I mean, it just seems like there would be, it would just be more secure if we could have our, the node secured by a hard wallet. So, I mean, even if you were to get compromised, the worst thing that could happen is someone could, take some ETH that you had, in a hot wallet or take some LPT that you had, unbonded or something like that. So I don't know. It's just kind of thought I'd just throw it out there and see if anyone had any other ideas or thoughts or, ideas behind it.
I'm pretty sure the only thing that's preventing us from using hard wallets is that we have to call reward daily. So
Right. So
why
it
can't
seems like it would be
someone
great.
else call reward on our behalf or not? Yeah, why can't like why can't we call reward from an external wallet? Like I don't understand the purpose of that. I know Doug originally was like, it shows liveliness. It shows that the orchestrator is serious. It's like, sure, but like, if someone else could just call it on your if someone else could just call it on your behalf, then you could actually have your orchestrator node on a hard wallet, and then use external. We use the word dummy account, but this whatever dummy accounts. We can use only dummy accounts to do the transcoding work, collect winning tickets, call people's reward. You could do every transaction, but the one that can move the stake, own the stake, the one that owns the branding of the node, right? The ENS, the everything else, that could just be on a hard wallet that doesn't even have to send any transactions, right?
Right. And I guess at this point, I don't know how you would switch over to that, but so that would be a big sticking point, moving forward. But I was also just curious to see if anyone else had any other ideas for just how to limit exposure.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a fairly insecure way that it works now.
I mean, I've got it pretty secured. Like I run my reward caller on a locked down NUC with major firewalls. Like nothing can get in. No public. No one knows. No one. There's no entry into this node, and all it does is call reward. And then everything else is just on a dummy account. And like if they get a hold of the dummy account, like they'll probably take like $100 worth of ETH. That's about it. So it's
and I mean, and yeah, and I guess I mean, that you are right that we've learned to really limit the exposure. I guess it's just kind of feels like since that's not part of just the standard setup that there could be people that are just left fairly exposed.
like my assumption, I'm just assuming he's not here, but Killout was
Yeah.
probably using his orc address on the transcoding machine, right? So you have you have exposed ports, you have, it's literally exposed on chain where your orchestrator node is. Like, it's so insecure, right? Imagine you could look up on a public blockchain where a key store file is located and what port is open on the machine, right? It's like craziness.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So using your orc address to do on a transcoding machine is like craziness, right? So it shouldn't be like that by the default, but it is. I mean, we only discovered you can use dummy accounts because we just messing around and
It was by accident.
it was by accident.
Yeah.
It wasn't even intentional, but it turns out that's like the safest way to do it. And shout out to Authority for building the guide on that. Like, it's like that single forum post hardened the network so much.
I forget how we even figured out. I know it was an accident, but I have no idea how.
Yeah, I think Ryan put the wrong account in on a node one time.
Yeah.
And somehow it worked, and you guys were like, "Whoa, wait a minute! What? How did that work?"
Because I was using I was using the Redeemer service, which is like your standalone O has to send all the tickets to the Redeemer, who then redeems it. But that was a hairy mess in itself.
Yeah, I mean, the Redeemer goes down, all your nodes go down. I mean,
yeah, it was, the standalone dummy account is like absolutely brilliant. I just don't think that Killout. My problem with the security of it right now is if I want to do, well, I mean, you could upload your key store into MetaMask, and like MetaMask isn't all that secure. Like, I would like to be able to like do ENS transactions on chain through a hard wallet, which would be even more secure, because then I could use MetaMask and like I wouldn't have to be worried about the security of MetaMask, because that has its own issues. So
yeah, I mean, that was kind of my thought too. Is it just be an extra nice layer? But again, I think the biggest sticking point is how would you convert everything that's already existing?
What you would do, I don't think you could convert. You'd have to, someone would have to make a script that connects to a hard wallet that can generate an orc address. Wait, how would that work?
So the hardware wallet would have to act like with a proxy for all the orchestrator transactions, right? So that they don't need to be signed manually every time.
But the real problem is that the calling reward has to be done by the orchestrator address, and that is a signed transaction. So you need to, unless you're going to run to your hard wallet every day. And
could a smart contract solve that? I don't know exactly how it would work, but it would whitelist a proxy address that would call reward on behalf of your hardware wallet, but only would only be able to automate transactions for the contract address of Livepeer.
Yeah, I just think the logic should be that anyone can call reward on behalf of anybody. I don't know. Not like you can call it twice.
Or you could also use a smart contract wallet, and there you basically have tools like you can limit address to just be able to do the reward call and nothing else. So not like move funds or anything else, stuff like that.
Oh, like using ERC 4337, like account abstraction, and that, like use the actual smart contract wallet.
Yeah, it doesn't really have to be the new standard. I think it already exists with like
3074 or something like that. There's an older one. There's a bunch of there's some that are already out, but I think the newest one is like most fancy.
Yeah, you could basically, like with the standard Gnosis smart wallet, you can already set permissions for certain actions. So basically, you have like a controlling address that is like a hardware wallet, maybe even a second one. And you have like a 2 out of 3 multisig to like override those controlling functions. And then for the third one, for your org address, you basically set it to just allow certain contracts calls, like the daily reward and nothing else. And yeah, that would probably think it through as well, but I would probably like say this is so I set up a smart contract wallet. I mean, the issue is that you would need to create a new orchestrator, right? Because we're locked to our address that we
Yeah,
created.
that's what I was saying, is we're kind of locked in at this point. So
Yeah. One thing that would solve it would be to just like use the ENS as orchestrator account. Right now, what we're doing is we're using a normal wallet and then query the ENS. But the other way around would be way smarter, because you can have a hardware wallet in control of the ENS.
right.
And then basically set the resolver of your ENS name to different addresses. And like that, you can keep your ENS address as the orchestrator, and maybe even have like different addresses that it resolves to. But it gets complicated due to like the staking. I mean, how would you move the stake if you set it to a different
That's
resolve?
why I think like we're kind of locked in, because I don't know how to, like, if we were starting from scratch, I think we could solve this pretty easily. But I don't know how. I mean, it's definitely beyond my area of knowledge, or to know how, if this is possible to upgrade what we have currently here.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
guess
I
the
guess
moral of the story is, if nothing else, is just everyone just be careful with how you operate, and it's not the first time we've seen stuff happen. So
yeah, I mean, the easiest thing would really be just allow any address to call reward on behalf of anyone, basically. So like that, you can just remove your main orchestrator key from any machine and just keep it secure somewhere, and you don't have to use it again.
Would that be a contract change on the Livepeer protocol to do that?
I think so, but it shouldn't really be a difficult one, I suppose. I mean, there's not really that many attack vectors that I could think of, but yeah, I don't know.
Because in reality, it's not like we need hardware wallet integration is really difficult.
Sounds like the simplest solution.
Yeah, hardware stuff is very difficult. Imagine trying to create key store. signing transactions, and Treasure or Ledger updates how they sign, and so you've got to maintain
It's
that.
out there for anyone to think about, and if anyone comes up with a great idea, bring it up next week or throw it in the chat.
Test 1 2 3. Go.
Yeah. I think we've lost our host.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
How did we lose Titan? Is that why it's gotten so quiet?
Can you hear me?
Who else
Potentially.
had topics for today?
Hold
Who else
on.
had topics?
Something that might be similar. So I have like this app idea that I was trying to find out about the grants. You know, which grants are available for the app idea. And I guess essentially it's like a social media platform, and the idea is it would be Web3, and we would stake a token for every user that signs up. So this actually might tie into this that we're talking about. So that would all be in like the agreement, right? It would all be laid out when you sign up, that we would be staking a token for each user, and when they're active, that you know, we would use their phone or their computer to process the video. That's something that I did talk to Tom and Hunter at the happy hour last week. They said it's something that they discussed that's possible. I'm not sure what the timeline on that would be for allowing people to use their phones to process the video. But I know that the phones are strong enough now to be able to do that. So I guess the question for me would be, what direction would you guys point me at to, one, find developers to help me with the building of the app, working model of it, and then what direction would you point me for the grants? I saw that they have the Livepeers, but if there's anything else that you guys would recommend, I'm all ears for that.
Testing 1 2 3.
We can hear you.
Hey, I'm back. Yeah, that was a weird experience. This is what everyone else must feel like. They get it, like the green light shows up and you talk, and then but no one can hear you. Really weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everybody heard me right now.
Sorry. Yeah, just coming back in. Where were we?
Yeah, I was just basically asking what direction people would recommend, one for grants, and then to find developers that are familiar with the protocol to help build the app.
Is your project open source or is it closed source? Like
No, I would want it to be. I would want it to be decentralized like that. I would want it to be open source. Like I said, I want people to be able to. I want to have a marketplace there where designers can, put their user interface, custom designs, where someone could go and purchase that, and it would be in the form of an NFT, right? And get into their wallet. Once it's connected to the platform, then that would allow them to have that custom feature within their profile.
Are you a developer yourself?
I am not. I just have this idea. I'm more of a marketing guy. I've worked in the music business. I've worked in the branding and marketing for the cannabis industry. I work closely with my friend Sticker Farmer, who has a print company, and they do all of the packaging and designs for most of the cannabis brands in the industry.
Perfect.
Nationwide.
Well, since you're a marketer, then I have a perfect spot for you. Because what you're gonna need is some gunpowder. You need some developers to come in and create what you. So what you need to do, I see the path for you is to put together a really nice presentation or really nice proposal on, really clear on what this app looks like, what it does, get someone really motivated behind it and and what I've done is I've linked in the so take this presentation, take this proposal, and go to the Livepeer grants page. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but yeah, go here and propose this to get funding from the Livepeer grants community, and
go here on the GitHub.
Yep.
And pretty much put the idea,
just
the general basis behind the idea, and
Yep. So just read through this. It gives you an idea of how to do it, and it gives you all the requirements and everything else, and how much you could, earn up to, how much you could get. And this might be a really good place to flesh out your idea, to get support behind the idea, and then also give you an initial amount of money to build it, to start hire a developer and start building it.
Yeah.
And then what you can do is then afterwards, if you need more funding, or if you've built a product and you just need driving traffic and all these kind of things, the next step would be go to the Livepeer Innovators DAO, and this is for people who have already built something that are starting to drive traffic, and you can get retroactive funding for your app, right? So
Okay, awesome.
Once you've already kind of built it and you've kind of demonstrated like a kind of usage and people want to use it, here you can get like funding. Like the Innovators DAO is like a much bigger fund. Like it can be throwing off hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars.
Really power, some marketing, some real marketing behind it.
So the community grant, it's like $15,000. Here's some funds for your idea, right? Which is like total low key, might not work. Like this is an idea. Once you get your idea up and going, and you have attraction,
you have a working model of it, and I have like some streamers that have actually used it and gotten some feedback.
Then you can go to something like the Innovators DAO, where it's like, okay, now you can start to get some like direct on-chain treasury funds for this type of building and things like that. So I would.
That's great too. I went to a book signing a few weeks ago as well for this guy who wrote a book called Web3, and I met some people there too, some Silicon Valley insider guys that go and get funding for projects and stuff like that. So I do have some good contacts once I do get the model built, where I would be able to take it back to them. And hopefully, especially if I got some grants involved too, that would show that they might be able to also help, fund with the backing of the grants as well, to kind of help, double up on that marketing.
Definitely. Yeah. So I would, that's the path I'd put you down. Do you have any questions about the path, or what you should any other questions around that?
I think that's enough for now. I think that's great information right there. I'll be able to look into that and be able to hop in next week and kind of update everybody on where I'm at and what I've how far I've gotten. If anybody is interested in helping with the build out, if they can add me or message me, because I still need to find a group of developers. Also the designs, like the sticker farm routine that I was telling you guys about, I'm going to have them do all of the designs for the user interface and all of the other things that people would see. So I would have already all the anything that we need as far as images and designs like that. I would be able to provide that. So I just need somebody that knows how to build and insert those images, to get the thing built.
Absolutely, you're a marketer. Build the vision, and the developers
Absolutely.
will come. If you build a good enough vision, you can get developers and capital to come, right? So that's your job.
Yeah, no, the vision is there. I've been working with ChatGPT to help me get this all out of my head. So it's actually been a great tool for me to help just kind of get like the vision statements, the value propositions, all of these different things that I need to get done, so that when I show it and present it to people like that I would have all of that for them. So I do have a lot of that stuff in the process. That's kind of what I've been working on right now, is just getting all of those things finished up and ready for presentation.
Very good. I like it. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. I just want to finish off on that last note around the security thing. I was actually talking, but no one could hear me. My last comment was just around like hardware wallets, how probably wouldn't really work into Livepeer all that well as orchestrators, because you need to build scripts around deploying stuff based on hardware wallets, and if treasurer or ledger changes anything, we need to like maintain the scripts that allow us to do those on-chain transactions, and it seems it would be a lot of work just to support hardware wallets for something that literally we can fix just by allowing anyone to call reward. And you can just put that key store onto a cold storage, just some like USB, and never plug it into anything ever, and you can run your entire node. So yeah, those are just my 2 cents. So if anyone wants to create a GitHub issue about allowing, or an LIP around allowing anyone to call reward, I think that would fix our security problem to such a degree that I think would be pretty acceptable. And then it just comes down to educating orchestrators on using those best practices. There we go. Cool. Let's move on to the next topic. Jonas was talking around the movement of stake. Jonas, do you want to tell us about what you've been seeing in the movement of stake?
Yeah, sure. Just yesterday, we noticed that there were quite a lot of stake moved around, really. From it got added on some orchestrators, but you also got removed from some, and it all happened at like a very similar time. Like a short space of time in between the stakes. So we were just wondering, if there is any more information about that. Was this a Livepeer, moving their own stake, or is there any other information about that, really?
One thing I noticed, and I don't know if this is the stake that ended up on your lap, Jonas, but there was a discussion about a certain orchestrator being a little cheeky, I guess, running multiple orchestrators, and then like once they get stake, setting their reward and fee cuts to 0, or doing something that makes the delegator just want to move their stake to someone else, and they were just moving it to another orchestrator that this person controlled. And I think the discussion in the Discord might have caught the attention of that delegator, or something happened there. And shortly after that discussion was voiced in Livepeer's Discord, a lot of stake moved away from those specific nodes. I don't think that was all the stake movement, but my tinfoil hat says that possibly had something to do with it. And I do think it was associated with Livepeer somehow, but I can't prove it.
Yeah, I know that Livepeer Academy lost 25,000 stake. Not that I
Yeah,
care.
Video Miner as well lost 25K yesterday, which sucked.
Yeah. It sucks for people that are using the node and doing things with it. Academy is literally just 0. I don't think it's even transcoding. Probably should just take it off the market. Although have been using it quite a bit for testing on like Brad's tester and stuff. Useful that way, but yeah, I don't know. I would say that I can't tell if this is just Livepeer Inc. moving their stake, or if there's some natural movement. But
yeah, it was good to see the stake go to good O's, though. That was nice. I think LPT node got some, Marco got a good chunk. People who have been here a long time and who are building, so
yeah,
always better to see stake go there.
Shout out to Marco getting some more stake. Well deserving of it. Same with Brad at Astra. He got some more stake. We were all rooting for him. Got some more, so that's good. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it also came from the Xenon node, because they shut theirs down, or
yeah. So they didn't know it was still up. They thought it was inactive, but it had been active. But I think Troy finally shut that down, and we saw some of the stake move off. I'm not sure if they still have some stake, but a good chunk left.
yeah. Yeah. Either way, I'd like the distribution of stake where it's heading. I will say that I did rewatch one of my very first tutorial on Livepeer on how to set up an orchestrator node, and I'm explaining how you have to be top 100 on the list. And just looking at the amounts kind of made me chuckle. Like, it was like there was like 3 pages of orcs that were all between like 20 and like 5 LPT. Like, it was
Yeah, I think it was 3 when I got in. It's crazy.
yeah, it's like 3 LPT. I spun up 8 orchestrator nodes at 5 LPT each. You know, like it was pages and pages of just like abandoned 5 LPT orchestrators, right, in those slots. And now we're sitting at, you know, entry point of roughly 2,000 LPT with people that are competing to get in, right? I know of 3 potential orchestrators now, Marley being one of them. Welcome, Marley. That are now wanting to join, and they're either scraping up the LPT or finding a way, applying for the Titan Node grant or something like this. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I guess it comes back to the issue that always comes up. You know, there are some people running like 10, maybe just one, 11 orchestrators. They're taking up 11 spots.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what caused it to jump up to 2,000, right? So,
ouch.
I think it was like sitting around 800 before he came, and then now it's 2,000, 2,200. But there's this weird also thing where you have to make a transaction on your node to be in the top 100. And so if someone gets bumped out and then that person leaves, it opens up a spot, which means people can get in for like there's someone on the list with 3 LPT, but all it takes is for any one of those O's that have like 1,000 just to like do a transaction, they'll bump him out. So there's this kind of weird thing for new people that they think, oh, the bottom one is 3 LPT, I'll just put in 5. But really the only reason there's 3 in there is because they just did the last transaction. So the 100th spot is not really a spot. It's kind of this weird kind of purgatory place to be, if you will. So, yeah. Any other comments on the movement of stake? Alrighty then. Cool. Let's jump into another topic around Windows with CUDA. Mike, you want what is this? What is this you're talking about? Windows with CUDA. Tell us. Tell us what you mean.
No, I just heard, there's been a lot of issues with CUDA with the latest 7.1 release running Windows. And I thought there might be interest for folks to get this working. And I think obviously you said it and Papa Bear said it, but that's great for a couple of you guys. But if there's people actually trying to run Windows and they need the support going forward, I would much rather not drop it from Livepeer and find a way to at least, test a working setup on Windows. So again, if there's interest for that, I'd be willing to help. But it looks like I got voluntold about the Streamr stuff. So I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do this, but just curious anyway, if anyone's, worried about Windows support going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running Windows, but I run the newest version. Is the newest version have CUDA or is it not? It doesn't need it, does it?
Not Windows, it doesn't. When they turn on the scaling, there's a change that's on the Unix versions that allows better quality that requires CUDA. So I think you can run the current 7.1 without CUDA toolkit, but eventually they're going to find a way, or maybe they never will. I don't know.
Right. And it would be weird if we ran, Linux with this upgrade and then Windows without, and then you've got like two different qualities.
Yeah, that's the part that would worry me is that, if you don't offer Windows and people are running it, like you're just going to get inferior quality.
Yeah, I would. To me, Windows is a necessity. Like, we're definitely gonna need it. That's where all like the cheap GPU power is, because people's idle gaming PCs and stuff. Um, in that sense, but same sense, like obviously, if you're running server stuff, you're probably doing. Yeah, I'm all for supporting it. I think if there's any testing that needs to be done, I don't know anything about. Like, is it because they can't compile? Like, I don't understand. What issue are they having with the Windows one? Are they unable to compile it? Is it just giving them errors?
Yeah, I just think there's some differences between how they compile it and how they load CUDA in, and for whatever reason, they were unable to get it to work properly. Papa Bear, wasn't there a ticket with their findings on Windows? I wasn't exactly sure what went wrong, but I thought there was some sort of pull request that discussed it.
No, I don't think there was a ticket. I think there was just some discussion in the new Livepeer release thread that just talking about things to try to get it to work. There was just like maybe setting some environment variables to point to to CUDA, but I went through it a little bit and couldn't get it to go, and then when I found out that it wasn't a
Well,
requirement, I left the Windows machine where it was and updated my Docker nodes.
not all orcs get a chance to speak here, so I don't know, Tight. Maybe if you're interacting in the community, maybe you can remind folks if Windows matters, they might want to raise their voice.
Well, yeah. I think the problem really is
It
that
definitely matters for our pools, right? Sorry, Tidy.
yeah. To what degree are they gonna clamp down on this upgrade though? Because I don't know how you detect it, let alone, yeah, it's like an upgrade that is great for the network. But now that you think about it, we could change it like the CUDA setting to fast, and would whatever that scaling thing is, like, or whatever, like. This comes down to actually a real question around quality. Like, how do we even maintain that quality, right?
Well, that's the thing too, is I mean, if for some reason a encoding job starts on either one of the machines and then switches to the other type, you're going to get different quality throughout your single video.
Yeah. Which itself is interesting.
I mean, I guess it's always been a little bit of an issue. Just different generations of cards will put out slightly different quality videos too. So they're really. I mean, I did see that in the call last Thursday that detecting capabilities and I guess they can detect them now. I don't think that they do anything with it. Maybe it just needs to be a little bit more advanced on not only detecting it, but doing something with that info and only sending certain say like a single stream to machines with the same capabilities if it has to switch machines mid stream.
Right.
Regardless, I mean, I still think it'd be better if if all machines were going to put out the same quality. But again, if there's really no one using it, then I can see why Livepeer doesn't want to put the effort in to get it working. But if pools being a big part of the network, I think there's maybe not the actual orchestrators aren't really running it so much, but I do think there's a decent number of transcoders that are.
I hear the cry.
Yep. It looks, on another note, maybe, yeah, yeah, I have something else to cover. But yeah, any other items on the CUDA stuff? I think eventually we're just gonna have to find a way to support Windows. I think they just gave up because they were just having problems. But I think if we mess around with it long enough, we can get it to work.
I mean, it sounded like at one point, I mean, even in the original post, it was like, and if you can't figure out how to get the Linux binary working, just run Docker. It's easier, you know. Um, so it doesn't seem like. I mean, I know they're spread thin, but uh, yeah, I just thought that was kind of an odd comment to make. Um, it works for me. I do run Docker on everything except the Windows machines, so great, and it was super easy to work that way. But this was the first time I've ever seen any kind of departure in a release where there was any kind of discrepancy, and like there was even like any type of different install required, and the difficulty seems to be quite a bit higher with the binaries.
Mm-hmm. On another note, it looks like they deployed the upgrade to avoid price per pixel manipulation. Yeah, probably. Just looking at my dashboard, that's what I've been running. This script that just makes it so that the first segment's 0, and then all following segments are 900, right? And it's been working right up until about 11 hours ago. So I think they deployed that update. That was the GitHub issue.
That's why I have so many streams right now. No, I'm just kidding. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's probably. So if you haven't downloaded the new build that caches your price per pixel, then if you change your price per pixel right now, you will kill all your streams. Just FYI. So yeah.
Good to know. So if we want to adjust price, do it when you have 0 streams. If
Yeah.
you don't upgrade to whatever the newest thing is.
Yeah, if you want to adjust your price now, yeah, you've got to, you're gonna just blow up all your streams until you download the newest binary, which I think works. I don't know. I haven't tested it yet, so might be worth testing out. But there you go. And we have a graceful way of shutting down now. It was a part of that GitHub issue I posted.
Well, that would gracefully shut you down still? That would
Because what it does is now that your price per pixel is cached,
right. So
all
you'll
you
keep your streams that you have, but you won't get new ones if you just crank it up.
That's right.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so you just crank up your price per pixel to like 10,000 or whatever, and you just won't get any new streams, but your old streams will finish before. Yeah.
I guarantee if you do that, you will get like one of those the longest running stream ever kind of things. Whenever you want to shut down, you always get those long streams. Just it seems to always happen to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Although apparently, if you did change or if you just exit your node, it does wait to complete the streams and then it hands it off to another orchestrator nicely, but nonetheless, it's still just what it is. Cool. So that's all I have to say about that. Another item. Oh, Brad isn't. Oh, Brad, AV1. He's got AV1. Brad, are you here? I'm gonna invite him back up. He's probably at work or something. But let's be realistic. Livepeer is work. Get on up here, Brad. Brad was working on AV1. He successfully got AV1 transcoding to work in Livepeer. And but obviously it's a CPU only. But nonetheless, we can do like VOD AV1, which would be really cool. I think that would be a nice little MVP, little thing to say. Hey, we could do VOD AV1 with the network now. But I think they'd have to be like a process, like a. It would have to be. We'd have to know that it's requesting AV1. I don't know if there's even settings for that yet. So yeah, it's difficult in itself, but nonetheless. He's not coming up, so he can't explain. That's okay. AV1, it's on the way. And the very last topic is around Lens platform cross-posting live streaming, which is my topic. Samurai's been working on this live streaming application for posting on Lens, and then it just shows up on every Lens platform, which works, except for most of the Lens platforms have, like, if you want to embed content, they have whitelisted domains, like allow lists for what will show up. And Livepeer or Livepeer.tv or whatever, which is like the studio endpoint. None of them have it whitelisted, so you post it across all of Lens Pro, like the whole ecosystem, but it only shows up on his platform because none of these other, but yet, you know, other platforms like Spotify and YouTube and all those are whitelisted. So you could live stream through YouTube onto Lens, but you can't with Livepeer because it's not considered, you know, it's not whitelisted into these people's projects. So yeah, anyway, we're trying to enter the Lens ecosystem, and in the boilerplate, maybe like add Livepeer as like a whitelisted by default, and then going out to the big players like hey.xyz, and which used to be Lenster, and like getting them to whitelist Livepeer's endpoint so we can do live streaming through their platforms. So yeah, that's just some update on that. Interesting though, when you're dealing with cross-platform content, like it just doesn't seamlessly post because everyone has different rules for post types and what's allowed to be posted and not. Yeah, this whole Web3 social thing is just a little more complicated. So yeah, little update on that. Cool. Well, that covers all of our topics. Do we have anything we want to cover before we sign off? Anything at all? Cool. Okay, well, we'll end it there. I do appreciate y'all being here, making Livepeer the world's open video infrastructure. It was great to hear from Nico and the Streamr protocol. Mike will allow you to maybe keep talking to Nico and see if we can get those grants going and integration into Livepeer. I think that would be a really cool fit between the two protocols. So thank you everyone for coming. Recording will be on Lens. It's not LensTube anymore. It's called tape.xyz, as well as YouTube. Yeah, if you want to rewatch this or share it. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you all next week. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good one, guys.